good night. I can't sleep, so I decided I am going to do my wrap up for July and August. Let's get to the wrap up, right? So the first book I finished in July was Perfect by Hopkins. This is the second book in the duology Impulse. So the first book was Impulse and the second one was Perfect. Perfect just kind of goes along with what happened in Impulse, and it continues the story. But we're missing the main characters from Impulse, and I think that kind of hurt this book a little bit, because we learned to love so much the characters from Impulse, and we get a whole new set of characters here in Perfect. They are all connected to the characters in Impulse, but they're not them. And as Impulse deals with suicidal thoughts and depression and bipolar, this deals with trying to be perfect in many senses of the word, like being perfect in your grades, being perfect in your body, so anorexia, being perfect in your baseball team, and so steroid abuse. It deals with a lot of pressure that teenagers suffer, and the lengths they go to achieve this perfect state they want to be in. It's very sad, as Impulse was, and I feel that Impulse ended so perfectly. Like, it had a gut-wrenching ending that made your heart just hurt. But this one, I think it kind of ended unended. There were some characters that we didn't have much of a sense of finality with them, especially the girl with anorexia. I ended this book feeling like we didn't get much of a close case on her story. So I gave this book 4.5 stars because the way that Hopkins writes is just amazing. These books are told in form of verses, and they just work really well, because sometimes it doesn't, because I've read many books that are supposed to be novels written in verse, and usually it's just sentences chopped up and put in verse form. But Hopkins, she's like above that, and it creates a really beautiful rhythm in the story. So yeah, I gave Impulse 5 stars. I'm giving this one 4.5 stars. So next we get Unravel the Dusk, which is the second book on the duology Spin the Dawn. We read Spin the Dawn for our Book Roast Patreon Book Club of the Month, and I gave that book 3.5 stars. This one was kind of all over the place. I don't think it had a solid place for it to take hold and build a story around. It was just really wishy-washy, and the cover is beautiful. I firstly I gave this 3 stars, but after like a couple of weeks I decided to give it 2.5 stars. I think it was more deserving of it. And it continues the story of Spin the Dawn, which is a girl who wants to be the emperor's royal tailor, but only men can be the emperor's tailor. So she disguises herself as a boy, just like in Mulan. And there are these trials that she has to go through in the first one to see if she can be the emperor's tailor. But this one is just completely another whole story. It just goes off the rails. It's something completely different. I was not a fan. Next one is Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. So Matt Haig, I've read so far 3 books from Matt Haig, and one of them I gave 5 stars, which was How to Stop Time. I loved it. One kind of grated my nerves and I almost DNF'd it, and it was the Midnight Library. So when I got this book, I know it's a nonfiction, so I entered it with a different mindset. But it was actually really good because he went through something that was really important in his life and kind of changed the course of his life and was almost deadly. And he talks about that with no stigma, no prejudice, and I think that's what we need right now. It's to talk about mental health issues with no stigma, because it's really hard to it's still to this day you get a little embarrassed when you tell someone you have depression or you have bipolar disease, because it is viewed kind of like you're crazy or you belong in a madhouse or something. But it's just the same as telling you broke a leg or you have cancer. It's just a disease that is in your brain. And Matt Haig, what I really liked in this book is you obviously don't have to have depression to read this book, and he tells you what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do with people who have depression, how to go about it, how not to lose friends and just battle this thing that consumes your life, because it consumes your life. And he, I think at 24, was consumed by it and desperate. So I think the way he explained it and the way he talked about it was really eye-opening, and to me it was nothing new. It didn't go anywhere far or deep enough, because I've read so many things about depression and anxiety, and like I've been versed in this for so long. I mean, I read the journals of Sylvia Plath, and that's all you need to do to like get a real idea of depression is what is like. And I liked this book because it was simple enough for anyone to understand, and for anyone to give a chance and understand, and treat people more kindly. And yeah, I gave it 4 stars. After that, I was intending to read Hamnet by Maggie, but I had this thing in my head that I had to read Hamlet by Shakespeare before reading Hamnet. And I've searched on the internet, and people said you don't. It's not like a thing you have to do, but I did. I read Hamlet by Shakespeare, and this was my second Shakespeare. I read Midsummer's Night Dream, but like a really long time ago, so I don't really remember much about it. So this kind of was my first real dip into Shakespeare, and I was really afraid that it was gonna go all over my head and I wasn't gonna understand anything, and it was gonna be like stupid, like marked on my forehead. But I did understand it, and there were some phrases that like I didn't understand what they were talking about, but the whole gist of it, the main ideas and the main plot was really well told and well understood. And it's mostly a story about vengeance, because Hamlet just lost his father, who was also called Hamlet, I think, and his uncle is now the king, and his mother just married his uncle, so he's like feeling that his family betrayed his father. And then spirit, a ghost of his father, appears and tells him that his brother murdered him and he has to avenge him. So Hamlet is like, I gotta kill my uncle. So that's pretty much what Hamlet is about. Next, I read, because I'm counting this in Goodreads, I am, and I don't care if you think it's not supposed to be counted. I love her, Dodie. This is a special edition lyric book for her new album, Build a Problem. So it has all her lyrics and like corrections and pictures and all the jazz. um, that you would expect from Dodie, and it was amazing. I love to see like the corrections she made in some of her songs, on the lyrics, and yeah, 5 stars. Dodie always get 5 stars for me. Next, I read for our Patreon book roast book of the month. We read The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. It's a story about a murder that occurs in a living facility for old people, and the old people are like sleuths, and they have this club that they call the Thursday Murder Club, where they get cold cases and they try to find little details that like will somehow manage to solve the investigation. So when someone dies in this book, the Thursday Murder Club is there to investigate, and it's really fun because it's like 4 or 5 group of old people, like 70, 80 years, around that age, and it's really fun the way they go about things, and it was fun to read. It wasn't mind-blowing, it was a fun read. I gave it 3.5 stars. Next, I read Delicates by Brenna Thumler. It's the second book after Sheets. So I read Sheets and I was kind of disappointed. I thought it was really kind of sad and kind of all over the place. I gave it 3.5 stars. But Delicates got it. Delicates was really well structured, and it dealt with bullying and ghosts, of course, and I thought it was a much cooler, much more fun to read, and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Angela Carter's Nights at the Circus. Dear God, why? I have this friend on Goodreads that keeps asking me to do a buddy read, and I never have time, and this month of August I was like, yes, let's do this. And he gave me a list of books that he had to see if I had some of the same books so we could do the buddy read, and I had this book and he also had this book, so we decided on Nights at the Circus. But dear God, at like the half of it I was thinking, if this was not a buddy read, I would DNF it right now. But I kept going because it was a buddy read and I kind of didn't want to disappoint my friend. But it's a story about Sophie, who is an aerialist, and she does a trapeze thing, and she has wings, and she swears upon her life that the wings are real. And she does have wings, and she was born with wings, and that's it. And in no point in this book the truth is revealed. But anyway, it was just so dark and it kinda, in every chapter, it kinda focused on one single person that works in this circus and told the story, like their life story, and it's so terrible and heart-wrenching, but it's told in like a matter-of-fact way, like this happened and this happened and this happened, and you're like, oh my god, oh my god. And that's how they ended up in the circus. It's like tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, and the story is focused on a journalist that enters the circus as a clown to report on the circus, and especially on Sophie, because she's like a world-renowned trapeze artist, and she swears that she has his wings, and it's in the Victorian age, and people are like going crazy for her, and they're like purses and powder cases with her face on them, and women are like just going crazy for Sophie. But it's just so bad. I don't even know how to express how bad this book is. And in like the half of it, it completely changes, and it's not about the circus anymore, and it just starts being this whole jumbled story about these people that I don't care about, and I gave up. I did. At 80%, I said no more, and I DNF'd this book, and I gave it 2 stars because there were some pretty lines in it, and the writing wasn't horrid. But oh my god, I just feel like I've wasted my time with this. 2 stars, DNF. And I didn't even get to know what my buddy who was reading with me thought about it, because he didn't respond to me till now, so I'm waiting. So the next book was Hamnet. I have this copy, and it's in Portuguese. It's from a subscription box that I love called Intrusticles, and it's really beautiful. They're really well made, and the thing that I really love about Intrusticles is that they always publish their boxes, their monthly boxes always come with new releases. So 2019, 2020, just like on point. And I was so happy when I opened the box and I saw it was Hamnet, because I was interested in it for a while. So I had read Hamlet and I was ready for Hamnet. So this book is about the family of Shakespeare. His name is never said in any page or line in this book, but it is well understood that it is Shakespeare. And we don't get to see him much. We just focus on his family, so his wife and his 3 kids, his dad, his mom, and it's the story, it's not a spoiler, but it's the story about the death of Hamnet, who was his son, who died at 11 years old, and possibly inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet. It's a real well told story, but I felt it, because people were going mad over this book, and I didn't see what the fuss was all about. I liked this book. It's mostly focused on the wife, and her disappointments with Shakespeare, because he leaves her and his family in the little town in Stratford and goes to London, and he spends all his time in London, and she misses him, and she knows that he has other women, and it's just really sad. But it was a story about a family, and the fact that it was Shakespeare's family kind of didn't factor in so much. But the ending, I think reading Hamlet helped the ending mean a little bit more to me, because if you know the play, you get a little bit of a heartache in the ending, but other than that, you don't really have to read Hamlet to read Hamlet, and I gave this 4 stars. It was a good book. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I finally finished Kingdom of Ash. I did it! By Sarah J. Maas. I finally finished one of my favorite series in the whole entire world, Throne of Glass. So this year I made my reread, so I reread all of the Throne of Glass books to read this one, which I hadn't yet read the last one. So I was like, I don't remember everything. I want to like get everything on point and be like really focused and know everything that I used to know when I read the last one. So I reread all of the 6 books. No, I read the 5 books. The 6th was really fresh on my mind, and this is the 7th, so I reread the first 5 and went to this one, and it was epic. It was everything I wanted. I just loved seeing my favorite characters that I love so much intertwined and meeting again and conquering and slaying and being just badass. And Aileen will always be the queen of my heart. Yes, Aileen, my queen. So no doubt I gave this one 5 stars, and I'm so glad I finished this series. And now I am sad because there's no more books for me to read from the Throne of Glass series, but I can always reread it again. But anyway, those were all the books that I read in July and August, and thank you for watching this video. And anyway, thank you so much for your support, for your comments. If you comment, I always feel so loved and appreciated, and I hope this video was cool. I hope to see you soon in the next one, and have a great day, an awesome week, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.